Hello, beautiful soulmates. Welcome to the Honest Fashion Academy. My name is Justice. So, in this video, we're going to be drafting this beautiful blouse, the neckline. So, from the shoulder, I'm going to measure my bust points, under bust, and waistline. Okay, so from the bust points, I'm going to go up by 1.5 to get my armhole depth, right? And if you have your basic bodice already, this is fine. So I'll take my shoulder measurement, I'll bring it down by 1.5 and then rule it to my armhole line. I'll go in by 0.75 to connect the armhole. This is just the basic bodice, right? And you can just draft whatever, however you choose to draft. So from the bust line, I'm going to get the depth of my neckline. You can decide to come from the shoulders or above the neckline. I think I measured 3.5 or 4 inches from your bust point, depending on how deep you want the neckline. I'm just making sure I get the right thing, okay? So wherever you want the neckline to be, or the sweetheart neckline to start from. So that is where it is, and I'm going to rule it across, so, like so. So on that part from the bust point, I'm going to rule to the shoulders, half in between the shoulders, like the middle of the shoulder line, like so. And then on the neckline, I'm going to mark 0.75 on both sides. We're working with bust 42, and but I didn't want it to be too fitted around that upper part, even though it's still fitted. So from the bust point, I'm going to connect to the 0.75 on both sides. Remember, we still have our bust dart. Okay, so at the under bust, I will mark 1 inch on the left hand side, and I will mark 1 inch on the left hand side and then half inch on the right hand side. Okay, so I'll use my curve and connect it. You can see the way I place the curve. Use the curve, connect to the 1 inch on the under bust, also turn it, connect to the half inch. This measurement is coming from after the normal dart line that we have, from the leg of the dart line that we have. So it should be more than 1.5 when you measure everything. So I'll rule it down to the waistline, like so, as you're seeing it in the video. Okay, so we've tightened our under bust and we've tightened our upper bust. We'll move ahead. If you're a returning subscriber, please do well to subscribe, do well to watch to the end, and if you're new here, please try to subscribe. So this is going to be like a sweetheart neckline, and that is the depth of the sweetheart that I just marked. It could be 1 inch, could be 1.5, depending on how deep you want it. So on this part, I'll go up by 0.25, because if I don't, it might be shorter than the other line. Or to be on the safe side, you can just close it the way I'm closing it, and then make sure the two lines matches before connecting the lines. Okay, so I'm going to use my either the pencil or the tracing wheel and connect the two lines together so that everything will match up. I'll still make use of the tracing wheel, as you can see. So now we have the two of them on equal lines. While joining it, we're not going to have any issues. So remember that the dart is whatever you take away from the dart, you add it back. Wherever you're taking the darts, especially from the under bust, whatever you take away, you add it back. So whatever I've taken away from the under bust and the waistline, I'm going to add it back to my measurement so that I don't run shortage of measurements. Okay, at the waistline, I'm still going to measure the dart intake or the size of my measurement, and then add whatever it is I've taken out as that back to the measurement, and then that is aside sewing allowance. You can then add your sewing allowance. But on this paper, there is no sewing allowance. The sewing allowance is going to come when we are cutting on the fabric. So I'll connect it to the bust point. At the upper bust, I'm not going to be adding anything to it. It's not going to um be tight. Okay, the yoke is wider than the bust, upper bust, but then it's still going to fit whatever it is that may come out, to trim it out. So I've connected my bust that. Now for the neckline, this is what I'll do. From the CF, I went in by 1.5. You could do 1 inch, could be 1.5, depending on how you want it, or 1.25. I think that's what I did. Then I'll come down by 1.5, depending on how deep you want it. Okay, this is for the neckline, which is the most important thing here. You can see the way I connected it. From the CF, go in by 0.25, or how wide you want it, and then come down by 1.25 or 1.5. And then from there, as you can see, I'll connect it to my armhole. Right, I'll connect it to my armhole. Your curve is very important. It helps you to get a nice shape. Okay, so on this part, I will have my velvet, and on the other part, I'll have the net. Now, your sewing techniques is very important on this part, right? So we're still moving forward. I just want you to take a look at the picture very well, the way it is, and you'll notice that we are just doing the right thing. Okay, we just did the right thing, the sweetheart, the neck, and all that. Now we're using the basic neckline, because it's going to be fitted. Now going over to the back side, we're just going to use an emperor dart here, and then we're going to tighten the darts. So I'll connect to the shoulder line. This is called an emperor dart. I don't really know, but then this is the name I've been calling it, and the name that I know it to be. Okay, so tighten the back dart a bit, as you saw, and I'll cut it out. So we're just going to cut everything out. Everything you can label so that you don't misplace any part. We're just going to cut everything out. In case you don't really understand, please watch the video again. I'm trying to explain it here. Watch the video again. This differentiates the yoke, where the net will be, and then where the velvet or the fabric is going to be. Okay, now the yoke, we're not going to close it out. We're just going to cut, and making sure everything is right, and we're just going to cut out the way it is. At the upper part, the yoke, we're not closing the paper. We'll just leave it the way it is and cut our dart. Okay, you can see it. This is for the bust, and here I have the yoke. This is for the velvet up, and then here we have the net. So I'll cut the two of them, separate them. My CF, the net is going to be cut on fold. The net will be cut on fold, while the other parts, the upper parts, which is the velvet, will be opened, right? So this is how I'm going to cut it. So brothers and sisters, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe. I hope the explanation is quite understandable. If you have any question, please do well to ask in the comment section. Okay, So I'm going to use this to cut everything that is cuttable. As you can see, both the lining and the fabric, and I've gone ahead to place the wording which is going to be used to pad the bust area, and this is the lining. So this video is about the drafting and cutting of this beautiful dress that you just saw. Since you're using a velvet, place your stay, cutting stay, so that it doesn't stretch so much. Okay, so we're just going to join everything together and we'll continue from wherever it is that we stopped. So this is for the net. This is the color of the net I'm using. So once we get to this point, I believe that it's possible for you to finish up. Thank you for watching. Bye.